When I was little, I saw this movie, Othello, and I remember sitting there looking at my mom and saying, why do they have this white man painted up as a black man? This movie was already old by the time I was a little girl. Anyway, she was telling me leading roles could not go to black people at that time. So instead, they would put these movies out and cast the leading role black actors, a role for a black person, and they would just paint up these white people to play black people. And you can see a good example of this in the movie Othello, but of course, there were more movies than just this one. And as you know, through the years, whenever Caucasoid actors and actresses do movies from the Bible where nobody was white, these movies are now flopping. They're not doing well at all. Didn't do well in America, and it got banned virtually across all of the Middle East. But this is the funny part, y'all. Caucasoids claim to be the Egyptians. But every time they put these biblical movies out, guess who bans the movie and says it's historically inaccurate? Egypt. Wait, I thought you were the Egyptians. It gets banned all across northern Africa, where they claim everybody in North Africa is white, and across the Middle East. So this movie flopped. Moses was not like Christian Bale. He was a black man. Now, Egypt bans a lot of their historic movies based on the Bible, and they've done this actually all throughout the decades. Whenever they come out with these movies, they get banned because they said they're not accurate. Okay? Every time these Caucasoids claim they were the Egyptians, it actually gets rejected by Egypt. It's just that we don't hear about it, but the Egyptian people themselves in Egypt says no, that's not true. And the fact that they're rejecting their movies, that should pretty much sum it up. They don't believe Egyptians were white. And this is why you keep coming out with these Bible movies and they keep saying, hell no, we're not showing it here. Now, you remember the movie Russell Crowe played Noah. Noah got banned in Egypt and across all of the Middle East for not being historically accurate. All right, Noah again was a black man. He was a black man. He was not white. No one during that time period in the Bible were white. All right, so again, a movie that did not do well globally because people are no longer accepting a biblical cast that's all white. No one's accepting that anymore. And you won't tell the truth. So what are people doing? They're hitting you in the pocket now. Now, just imagine this. Elizabeth Taylor gets picked to play Cleopatra. All right. And, they go mad over it in the United States. But when it got to Egypt, Egypt said, hail to the nah. It's not accurate. But they've spent the greater part of their lives telling you Cleopatra was Greek. There's a BBC documentary that came out, I believe, like around 2014, might have been 13, where they confirmed that Cleopatra mother was definitely a Black African woman. And of course, it tore the Caucasoids up. It tore them up. But this was another movie casted, all white, and it was rejected. Now, some of you might remember urban myths, okay, when they tried to put a white face on Michael Jackson by giving, what was this guy, Joseph Fiennes, the role to play Michael Jackson, despite the fact that he has two living parents that are both Black. He has Black brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews, and they still casted Michael Jackson as white. And Urban Myths was rejected after a high number of complaints from not only the Jackson family, but fans, Michael Jackson fans. So this never came to light, and the show was rejected by the public. All right. And even through the years, they always try to do these Hannibal movies and these Attila the Hun movies. And those men were also Black, by the way. Attila the Hun was a Black man, and so was Hannibal. In fact, there's an ancient coin of Hannibal. This is Hannibal right here. Hannibal was described by the Greeks as a 6'5" dark-skinned man with braids. He was a warrior. All right. But every time they put a Hannibal movie out, it's some white dude. Now, again, historically inaccurate. Hannibal was a Black man. And it's just how he was described by the Greeks. And even the Asians have a problem with white America whitewashing their roles. Okay, so this article came out May 29th, 2017. Even the Asians are complaining. These Caucasoids are doing roles and the people were actually Asian. And a long time ago in movies in America, they would always depict Native Americans as white. What did they do? Well, they would come out with all these different movies and shows, and they would paint up and dress these Caucasoids like natives. Okay, instead of casting a real native. They don't want to do that because Caucasoids think they are everything in the world, and they're not. All right. Damn, you even put Dustin Hoffman in there as a native. That man don't hardly look like no native, but okay. So it's been so many movies where they have done this. They've taken Native American roles and painted up the actors and actresses and try to make them look native. They still look like a bunch of white people, but okay. And this country has had a long history of doing this. Especially back during the times when Westerns were real popular in America. Well, damn, they won't even let the Latinos be Latinos in movies. Oh, they even culture appropriate the Latinos. All right, roles that were meant for Latino characters, they would just cast all of these different white people in the roles. Okay, these are all Latinos. We're supposed to close our eyes and pretend like white people are Latino. Okay, so you can clearly see that Caucasoids have a serious problem making something in history realistic on the screen. They want everybody to buy into the white fantasy that they are everything on the earth. And there's no way they can be everything on the earth because they are the absolute last group to show up on the earth. That means everything before them that they're looking at were here first, here before them. Black people were here first. So this is just a thing they do. They just got a hang up about not being everything on this earth. They want everybody to believe that they are everything, even when we know they're not. Please leave your comments and subscribe. And if you can, donate to this channel. Peace, family.